ready to fight from within. You're about to go behind enemy lines on We Are America Radio. War.
Roger, 3-2. Goliath copies all. Go ahead. Target is surrounded by multiple firms entering what appears to be a residential area. Requesting permission to engage.
Live from the People's Republic of New York City, you're now going behind enemy lines with Gene Baradelli and Russ Gallo.
And you are now behind enemy lines. Hey there, how you doing? Gene Baradelli here, my good personal longtime friend, Mr. Russell Gallo. Russ, how you doing, bro?
What's the story, Maury?
Oh, there's a lot going on the Dem side, but as always, let's start out with our election 2016 update, talking about... Before we get to that, how you doing? Everything going? Everything all right?
Everything
you look a little sluggish. I don't
I'm
know.
a little tired. It's late at night. You know what I mean?
I see that.
Lots of
You
stuff
okay?
going on here.
So we got to talk about Trump to pump you up a little bit then, yes?
So listen, my man Trump gets me energized.
Well, let's talk about the latest with the Donald himself. I want to talk about this whole Univision thing that happened at this press conference, Russ. It's hilarious to me. This is why I like Donald. I don't love him. I'm coming around to where Russ Gallo is, though, I think.
And by the way, for the record, I do like Donald Trump a lot, but he's not my main candidate. I'd say it was Ted Cruz if I had to pick one on my wish list.
By the way, great job by Wayne Dupree just interviewing Ted Cruz this week. I hope you guys all check that out right before this show, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so Ted Cruz, my wish list, but if I had to pick a guy right now who I can live with, who is kicking butt, it has to be the Donald. Donald Trump smacked around Jorge Ramos from Univision. If any of you guys have ever seen this show, he does like this ambush kind of left-wing journalism on, he does it in English and in Spanish, speaking shows. And the guy's a real, POS, if you know what I mean.
Well, you know what? Let's play a clip of this press conference so everybody knows what we're talking about. Take a listen to this right here.
Okay, who's next? Yeah, please. Excuse me, sit down. You weren't called. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Go ahead. No, you don't. You haven't been called. Go back to Univision. Go ahead.
Wow. It's ridiculous.
I mean, the guy stood up in the middle of a press conference before Donald Trump even opened the floor and just started shouting out questions. And Donald Trump said you weren't called yet, and he refused to answer any of this guy's questions.
And yet, when Andrew Breitbart would have done this in a press conference a couple of years back, God rest his soul, the left would have been screaming about how this was so improper, this doesn't show respect, all this other nonsense, you know?
And I mean, before the left wing gets all up in arms, like, oh, look, Donald Trump doesn't want to answer questions, trying to, make it relative to the Hillary Clinton, ways of campaigning. Donald Trump is the most accessible candidate on the campaign trail. He is on the news 24/7. It never ends. It's wall-to-wall Trump on every channel, including Fox News, a channel that basically tried to sabotage his campaign in the first debate.
It's the truth. I mean, Donald Trump, first of all, he's unafraid. He's unapologetic. And people don't understand. This is why Americans keep running to Trump. 30,000 people, conservative estimate, by the way, 30,000 people went to hear him in Alabama. It started out in a hotel ballroom. They filled that. Then they went to a civic center. They filled that. And next thing you know, Donald Trump's filling a football stadium. It's not even a year out from the election. Donald Trump is filling football stadiums full of people who love what he's about. It's scary to a lot of establishment people, Russ.
It is. And, the attacks I hear from the right are, we don't know what this guy stands for. Or his views have evolved. Or he's changing and flip-flopping. Well, let's talk about that for a second. First of all, I know where the guy stands now on many issues that are important to me. That's pretty important right off the bat. Number two, you want to talk about candidates evolving. Every Democrat that's on the stage at any level of government right now who's been around for more than a decade, at one point was against gay marriage and pro-life. That includes the Clintons, the Gores, the Kerrys of the world, all of these people. And now they're pro-gay marriage and act like if you're against gay marriage now, you're a bigot, when they held the very same position a few years ago. They're totally for abortion, even up until the day after the baby's born, stick something in its head and suck out its brain and sell it to Planned Parenthood. And these people are not hypocrites. Donald Trump, his issues, I know what his issues are, the main ones. I know where his stance is on illegal immigration. I know where his stance is on terrorism. Are we going to get everything we want? No. Can he evolve on some of these issues as we go forward? Sure. The guy's not a politician. So what he said in his private life as a real estate developer about a whole host of issues, is it the same as a voting record in the Senate or the House? I don't think so. I would argue no.
I would argue yes, it is. But here's what I would say. In business, you have to go with the flow in order to get things done sometimes. And I get that. That to me is not a voting record, but it is important to note that he gave money to Hillary Clinton. It is important to note that he has many friends on the left that he deals with. He claims now he has to deal with them because that's the way you handle business. But that to me can put some voters off, in my opinion. But I think here's my concern. I've mentioned this on many shows, Russ. It's a cult of personality right now for Donald Trump. They like who he is. They don't really care about what he stands for. If he's not as conservative as advertised, many voters will overlook that and give way to personality over principle. And that can be a concern going to this election where we're supposed to be the party of principle here, but it's turning out that we're voting for, again, Obama circa 2007 is Trump 2015.
I completely disagree. Obama was in the government. His policies or statements were on record as positions when he was in government. And I just have to, let me just give you an example. For some of you people listening, if you're let's say teacher or police officer that holds very conservative views, you might hold very conservative views, some of you. I know you do because I know lots of you. You still belong to a public sector union. And guess what? When that public sector union comes before you, and someone's running for president of that public sector union, they say, we're going to try to get you a better pension. We're going to try to get you to pay nothing into your medical insurance. We're going to try to get you more sick days. What do you do, Mr. and Mrs. Conservative teacher and police officer?
That string is pulled and they pull that lever for that guy.
There you go. So does that remove his conservative credentials? Absolutely not. This is what I mean. Trump as a private citizen may have taken views or made statements about issues that, A, he was not fully aware about because that was not his job. You know, his job was not medical coverage for the entire country 20 years ago when he might have made a single-payer type comment when he was talking about it to someone for some reason when he wasn't running for any office. Don't know where they dug those comments up from. But now that he's taking a more serious view at running for office, public office, he's refining some of those views. I don't think he's evolving his positions. Flip-flopping on his positions. They're evolving as he gathers more data, which is exactly what we want educated people to do when they run for office.
I'll give you a little bit of help with your argument as well. When Trump has said every viewpoint, up until the point he declared he's running for office, his positions were based on what is best for Donald Trump. What is best for the Trump organization. Maybe a single payer was better for him from a cost analysis for all we know. I don't know, but I know that Donald Trump, for the past 20 years prior to this, saying that he's running for office, was saying what was best for Donald Trump and what's most advantageous for him personally.
Which, by the way, just, think about it, people listening. You own businesses and you employ lots of people. What is the American health insurance, system really based upon for the past few decades? Employer-based, right? It's employer-based. So if you are an employer, i.e. Donald Trump, maybe you would make a comment like, hey, single payer is the best way to go. So you shift the cost of that business expense onto the government. But now that he's running for office, he's not flip-flopping. What's best for the country may not be what's best for Trump Tower or casino. You know what I mean? So He's not flip-flopping. This is what it is. It is what it is.
He's looking at it with a different lens possibly. I think that may be a better argument.
Yes.
But
Now, if he was the governor of a state and said something the opposite, although you could still make the same argument, he's looking out for what's best for his own state. If he was in the Senate, this is why senators have such trouble running for president historically.
Something you pointed out on other shows.
Positions.
Yes.
They take positions on political issues. They are in the know. There's no arguing that a senator doesn't know something. Unlike, Hillary Clinton and John Kerry, who claim somehow they were duped by the George Bush in voting for the Iraq War. Hello, you've seen the same intelligence as the president, you voted for the war. End of story. Okay? The only person I give any credit in that argument is Barack Obama, because he did actually vote against it. Even though I was for the Iraq War, I'm just in the context of that discussion. So, okay, so
now we shifted perspective. He's now not Donald Trump, the real estate magnate employing all these people. He's now Donald Trump, private citizen, looking to run a nation of 300 million people. And his viewpoint now turns differently.
Yeah, so a guy who owns a business who says he may or may not have been for a single-payer system is a lot different from a senator saying something crazy like that.
But now he is my
big difference.
He is my only concern now. I'm going to wrap up this segment, maybe talk a little bit on the other side. Right now, he is talking as Donald Trump, private citizen, about what's best for the country, or is he still Donald Trump talking about what's best for Donald Trump? Is he truly, in his heart of hearts, a person who holds conservative values?
Well, the two can coexist. I mean, he's brilliant, by the way. And I think I talked about this last week a little bit. He basically has picked out the wedge issues that the majority of Americans agree on.
No, not. This is the Russ Gallo theory of politics.
Yeah,
you pick a wedge.
Out a wedge issue that the majority of Americans agree with you on, and the right wing, which is your base, also agrees with. Illegal immigration. Calling people who come here to have babies just so that they can be anchored to bring the rest of their families in, calling them anchor babies.
Great, now we're going to get cards and letters.
Donald Trump said this the other day, and guess what Jeb Bush did? He almost verbatim stole what Donald Trump was saying. I'm going to call them anchor babies because there's no other better term, and I'm not going to just go with the political correct term. So there you go. He's saying what the majority of Americans think. Do the majority of Americans want a wall on our southern border? Yes. Do the majority of Americans want us to enforce existing immigration laws and start deporting people, especially criminals? Yes. Do the majority of Americans want us to defeat ISIS, who are killing Christians and destroying historic sites in the Middle East? Yes. So, where is he not being conservative? He picked issues where he is ultra-conservative, actually to the point of going so far right on those issues that there is no space left for anyone in these Republican primaries to go to the right of Trump on those specific issues.
And do a majority of Americans want us to take a commercial break? Yes, they do. Gene and Russ behind the lines. We'll be back right after some station identification and a few brief words. Be sure to stay tuned in after the show for We Are America Radio's replay of their amazing coverage of the Defending the American Dream Summit. War.
Are you among the 64% of Americans who believe our country is going in the wrong direction? If yes, then eVoiceAmerica.com is the political take-action site we've all been waiting for. And it's really free. eVoice America provides your personal list of elected reps every time you log on. This makes it so easy to email your opinions and e-votes on top issues directly to each of our D.C. elected representatives. eVoice then publishes our e-vote majority percentages on top issues to each member of Congress and the media. Now, for the first time in history, we can know what millions of American citizens are telling Congress. No more gridlock. Join the new American majority using eVoiceAmerica.com, putting Americans in control of Congress. Visit eVoiceAmerica.com today. It's free and easy to use. That's eVoiceAmerica.com.
Hey everybody, Gene Baradelli from Behind Enemy Lines Radio here, and I want to let everybody know that yes, I am finally taking my health seriously. That's why I've decided to take Diabetics and Powervites from the Green Turtle Bay Vitamin Company. Diabetics is the first FDA-authorized multivitamin supplement specifically made for diabetics and for those like me who are predisposed to getting diabetes in the future. I'm taking it along with Powervites, a multivitamin formula specifically made to handle today's stressful life, but doing so naturally and without synthetic chemicals. I'm watching my diet, I'm exercising more, and I'm taking these great supplements. And let me tell you, folks,